Hello guys. This is Arvind from Carlist.my, and in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the logos of our favorite manufacturers. Now, how did they come by? What do they actually mean? And are there certain misconceptions about a few logos? Stay tuned. Let's get into that. Now we're going to start this list off with a fan favorite, BMW. I mean, everybody knows how it looks like. It's a round circle with the acronym BMW at the top, which stands for Bavarian Motor Works, the city of which BMW came from, and a smaller circle on the inner side, which has four quadrants, each of them alternately colored white and blue. Now, the white and blue basically takes its origins from the Bavarian state flag. So, as you guessed it, it's white and blue. Now, there's a common misconception that, well, it's not a misconception. It's actually a myth that just sort of took on a life of its own. That the four quadrants are actually sort of a, it's a propeller that is actually moving. And when viewed as such, it comes and kind of gives off that thing. But it's not entirely false. So basically, where the propeller started to gain sort of a linkage to the BMW logo was when an ad was taken out, I think way back in 1929, when beforehand BMW made all sorts of things. They made cars, they made plane engines, they made boats, they made tools. So I believe the story goes that ad was taken out to show that BMW was making plane engines, and the front page of the newspaper actually said that, or a magazine rather, showed a plane in mid-flight with the propeller spinning and the BMW acronym on top. So it just kind of started off from there. So that's how we sort of gained its circular look and the four quadrants, which make it look like the propeller was actually spinning. So it wasn't until the early 40s that BMW actually sort of said, hey, okay, that's the logo. We're going to, since we kind of like it, and since everybody kind of has a inclination that it was a spinning propeller, we'll go with it. So I think it was in the early 40s that BMW actually said, yeah, our logo is actually made up of a spinning propeller, which is characterized by this white and blue inner circle. So yeah, there you go. That's how the myth became the legend that is now today the BMW logo. And of course, in the years since, the logo has changed many times. And most recently, BMW took on a new logo, which to sort of have a different feel to their online or their social media platforms versus the ones that are on the car. So yeah, that's how BMW's logo came to be. So now we move on to the inventor of the automobile, Mercedes-Benz. I think the world over we know the symbol that symbolizes Mercedes-Benz. It is a round circular logo with three streaks in the center, which make up the three-pointed star. So that's the nickname for the logo, the three-pointed star. When they built their first car, it was called the Mercedes 35 HP. For 35 horsepower, so that's how much a highly powered car had back then. It was basically the logo of, or rather was Mercedes as in Britain, across the grille of the car. But where the logo that we know today came about was actually, it had very family orientated origins. So as we know, Mercedes-Benz was the brainchild of two brilliant inventors and entrepreneurs, Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz. And Gottlieb Daimler actually had a family symbol. Back then people had family crests and things to notify, if you came from a particular family. So a symbol that he would use to mail off postcards to family members actually had a symbol of the three-pointed star. His sons actually thought that, hey, it's a good idea since he's used this symbol for so long, why not just integrate it and let it become the logo of Mercedes-Benz? So that's how the three-pointer star actually came about. Now, in its most modern interpretation, the Mercedes-Benz logo actually means the superiority of Mercedes-Benz, or rather Daimler's engineering, when it comes to machines of the land, sea, and air. So you look at the logo, it's broken up into three distinct portions by the star, and those actually signify or rather their engineering prowess on machines of the land, sea, and air. So there you have it. That's how Mercedes-Benz got their logo. So now we move on to my favorite sports car manufacturer of all time, Porsche. So, and rightfully so, if you look at a Porsche logo, there's definitely more complexity than some of the other logos we discussed today. So it kind of needs to be broken down. So let's take a good look at the Porsche logo. So from the outset, it looks like a shield. Okay, so it's made up of several different component symbols, if you will. So right at the top, you get the Porsche script, which is, of course, it's the brand. And if we look right down the center, you'll see the image of a horse, which is, on its hind legs standing, ready to run, I suppose. Now, that is the coat of arms symbol for the state of Stuttgart. So Stuttgart, if you merely translate it to English, it actually means stud farm. So studying is the activity of breeding horses, and perhaps Stuttgart is famous for them. So it actually borrows the coat of arms from the state of Stuttgart. It's also where Porsche is based, or rather it's their home. And if we look out further within that shield, you'll see four quadrants that are made up of, two of them are made up to show antlers, or what look like antlers, and the other two are almost like a flag with the black and red lines. So that is actually the logo of the Free People's State of Württemberg. I hope I got that right. I'm sorry if I haven't. So basically, Porsche borrowed, again, it's a coat of arms symbol. It again pays homage to Stuttgart, and Porsche incorporated all these powerful images because I suppose back in the early days, coat of arms and family symbols and state symbols were they were a source of pride, and I suppose that's why Porsche wanted to incorporate them in their logo. So that's how you get the sort of the componentry of the Porsche logo. It's actually made up of 2-3 different things that come to symbolic power, performance, and beauty, and I love it. And it's also one of the longest, most endearing logos out there. It's changed very little over the years. Porsche is over 70 years old, and yeah, it's more or less been like that for a very, very long time. So there you go. Now you know how Porsche's logo came about. Now we move on to the final German entry on this list, and I think you can guess it by now. It is Audi. So where did Audi get its name, and what do those 4 rings mean? So basically, Audi didn't have such a sort of straightforward genesis in the early years. It was actually made up of different companies, and it didn't have such a straightforward sort of birth as you will BMW and Mercedes and other companies like Ford and Jaguar. So you got to break it down. So Audi in itself is actually so we'll break the name down, we'll break the symbol down, or the logo down. Audi gets its name from its founder, August Horch. Now, those who are familiar with Audi's history will know that so he founded the company. He ran into trouble with his board, and eventually he was ousted from his own company. He couldn't even use his own name. So, as the legend goes, he was at a dinner one day when someone gave him the idea of saying his surname Horch, which in German means listen. If you translate that to Spanish, it means Audi or
Audio.
audio, like we know. So it simply means to listen. So I suppose he thought that that was a good idea, and he took on the name of Audi. But where does Audi get its four rings from that make up the logo? So, like we've said, Audi, as opposed to the others, had a slightly different upstart. Now, the four rings or the four interlocking rings actually mean to symbolize or signify the component companies that came up to make Auto Union. The before it was ever called Audi, it was known as the Auto Union, and of course was a big company in its day, but it was actually made up of four different companies. Now the first was Audi, the which we got into, DKW, Wanderer, and Hodge. In, like you said, like he couldn't use his own name, but then eventually they became part of the Auto Union. So the four rings were to symbolize one, I suppose, strength, unity amongst the company, and that's why they're the exact same size, and to represent the four different component companies. Sorry. So that's why Audi has four logos. We move on to one of two Japanese entrants on this list. Two that I feel have a very creative logo and a backstory that goes with it. Unlike Toyota or Honda or Nissan, which the logos are pretty self-explanatory. Now, case in point is Mitsubishi, which, as you know, is made up of three distinct. You can call them diamonds, you can call them rhombuses. So there are three of them that actually make up the logo. Now, a recurring theme in most of these older logos is, family crests or state crests or coat of arms, to normally signify where, the founding members or the founding family, and Mitsubishi is no different. In the inception of the Mitsubishi logo, it's actually made up of, or rather, a combination of two family crests that were probably founders of the Mitsubishi brand. Now, the first one is the Yamauchi family crest, and the second is the Iwasaki family crest. Now, Mitsubishi, let's break that down. So, Mitsu actually means three, and Hishi, but when it's pronounced in the middle of a word, or it's pronounced with a B. So Hishi actually means water chestnut, which sort of has three distinct symbols like that make up sort of the logo. So that's the sort of the genesis of the logo. It actually came to mean three water chestnuts, basically. So, like I said, it was creative. It has a recurring theme of using state or family symbols as of the founders, and that's how the Mitsubishi or the three diamond logo of Mitsubishi came to be. Now we move on to our final entrant, Subaru. So basically, we can we'll break the name and we'll break the logo down. Those who know Subaru, the Subaru logo is actually an oval shape, which has normally a blue background, and six distinct star-looking symbols within the oval outer frame. So basically, and I got to read this out, I'm sorry, the logo is a representation of the Pleiades star cluster in the constellation of Taurus. So those who are familiar with astronomy will probably understand this better. But yeah, basically the Subaru logo is derived from astronomy, which is unique among manufacturers. Definitely, whatever we've discussed on this list. So yeah, the blue in the background is actually basically signifies the sky or the space, and the six stars actually, you notice the bigger one or the biggest star in the logo is signifies Fuji Heavy Industries, the holding company or the mothership company that Subaru is a subsidiary of. So the big star actually signifies the Fuji Heavy Industry Company, and whereas the other five are the component subsidiaries of that are under Fuji Heavy Industries, Subaru being one of them. Now, where does it get the word Subaru from? So, Subaru is actually the name or the Japanese calling for the Pleiades star cluster, or it has another legendary name for it, which is called the Seven Sisters. Again, seven stars. Now, again, we said there were 6 stars, but there were 7 sisters or 7 stars. So legend has it, or the myth, that the one of those stars is invincible, so it's not included in the logo. So yeah, Subaru, the word itself is a Japanese translation of the Pleiades star cluster, and the 7 sisters, if you will, minus 1, make up the logo, which is the Subaru logo. So there you have it, a pretty cool backstory to why Subaru's logo has what it has. And so yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this short, brief introduction on quite popular car logos. Is there anything you'd like us to catch or to talk about next time? Do leave a comment. And till next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you soon. Bye.